Hello and welcome everybody to the Casual Spikes Podcast. We're on episode 6 here, and that's not what we fucking do, Dakota. All right, I'm just gonna keep it rolling. Three, two, one. Hello and welcome everybody to episode 6 of the Casual Spikes Podcast. I'm your co-host Dakota, aka Crowday23. Here on YouTube, joining me as always is my co-host Randy from Modern with Randy. How's your day going, Randy?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How's yours?
It could be better.
Fair enough.
That's all I got. Mentally tired and exhausted from showing all these like old legacy players, how it's done, how the new generation does it. No, this is what it is. Just the crawdaddy things.
Fair
And I'm
enough, I guess.
and I'm standing
I
too. Now I got the
oh,
creative juices flowing.
look at you. I'm sitting like a fat person, so it's okay.
Look at that. I'm
Embracing that
dancing too. I
embracing
mean,
that American spirit.
oh yeah. Kind of an interesting thing I heard today,
Mhm.
and I don't know how accurate it is. Um, Someone said there's like 12,000 or 15,000 like McDonald's like in the United States. And then there's like 350,000 churches also in the same United States.
Jesus. I mean, that sounds about right. You get your Jesus and a cheeseburger.
No, you could get like a cheeseburger and then go visit Jesus like 8 times before you leave the drive-through, is what I gathered. But just an interesting fact of the day. Not a magic fact, but just kind of a fun fact that I learned the other day.
Well, maybe those churches can help repel some of these Rakdos vampires that keep popping up in Pioneer.
Not enough garlic for that, buddy. There's 350,000 churches in America, and there's roughly 7 million Rakdos Vampires players.
Touche. Yeah. Rakdos vampires seems to be the deck to beat now in Pioneer. Uh, Still holding strong at a 26% meta share. So, healthy meta share right there. Healthy meta share.
Yeah, I mean, so we talked about it last week, I believe, where
Yeah.
Pioneer had like no changes and essentially the Pro Tour top 8, from I think a month ago now at this point is
Yeah.
kind of what the meta ended up kind of looking like. Looks like over the last like 2 weeks after that, the artifact aggro decks are kind of on the downswing. Blue white control is kind of like falling off, and we're just
Mhm.
seeing a lot of the, hyper aggressive decks. Arclight Phoenix is hanging in there. The two combo decks of the format still holding pretty strong as the top two combo decks being played in the format currently.
Yeah, I say
Yikes.
Lotus Field is on a downtick though, notably, but I think that's mainly because of Boros Heroic or the new Mardu Heroic. Basically, it's floating around. Like you could just kill Lotus Field before they can set up. Essentially,
Yeah, you have to force them to have like the nut draw.
yeah, you force them to have answers, and then you still have like your sideboard answers help line up well against their sideboard answers. So like, you just kind of force them to deal with it, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and Rakdos aggro, like we talked about last week, just has such a faster clock. So what we did like the magical Christmas land against Lotus Field, you can kill on turn 3, turn 4, you can just kill someone. So like you're just forcing Lotus Field to win on turn 4, and if you're on the plague, they're not gonna get their turn 4 to win.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if anybody is even remotely like me, I never have like the luck playing Lotus Field. I always draw like the hands that are just like spin the tires and we get stuck in the mud.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. Pioneer seems like it's in an interesting spot. I think that Rakdos might once again Rakdos probably needs to get a peg taken out of it, but why would we fix a problem that's been a problem?
Yeah, and it might just end up even leading to the fact that like Arclight Phoenix, like something from Rakdos aggro could get banned, and then we see Arclight Phoenix just kind of stays like the top deck. I hope we don't see anything like that. That they're kind of smart and we ban a little bit of something else besides whatever else we get banned from Rakdos.
Yeah, I will say I still want a Malia combo taken out. Um, I played a league earlier this week, and I was playing Mardu. Uh, yeah, Martu heroic. I don't know why that was a hard word to remember. Words have been really hard today. Like
The struggle
really
bus has
hard.
been boarded. I totally
Yeah.
get it.
We bought like round trip passes all day for the
Season
struggle bus.
passes. I've been a season pass holder for almost 28 years now.
Yeah, I feel that. But I was playing Mardu heroic, and I played against Amalia twice, and I think I played 5 games. In my two matches, 5 or 6 games.
That's really not that bad, Randy. 5 matches in 2 games, or 5 games in 2 matches.
Yeah, it's something that's supposed to be best of 3, and when you're beating Amalia in 4 or 5 games for one match, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Well, you told me like the one match you played like 4 games in like that one match.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
it was probably at least like 6 or 7, I would imagine, between like two
yeah, it's
matches.
6 or 7 between 2 matches because I can't do math. Thinking about it's best of 3, so like playing 2 matches, playing 6 games is not unrealistic.
This is where we find out that it says that it's best of 3, but really it's first to two.
Yes, first to two. Yeah, yeah. The actual rules are first to two. No one actually knows what the rules say apparently.
It
So
and it's never come up, like it doesn't really ever come up. Like there's a few situations that you can create in modern with cards that don't see any play where you can cause the game to draw. That would actually be playable. That you could draw the game and
well,
they just never come up.
I mean, it's also the same thing with Karn, like Karn's Ultimate, the 7 mana Karn.
Mm-hmm.
Because you restart the game, essentially starting a new game. That's like
Yeah.
probably the most common way where people just scoop though, right? Because usually if you're restarting the game, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna start the game with 3 lands and a Wormcoil Engine. You may play your turn 1 land.
Well, we're just playing game one a second time.
Yeah,
We just left game one behind. We're like, we're never gonna finish this. It's gonna stay right here, and we're gonna move on to this one.
yeah. It is.
Oh well. If anyone had arguing the semantics of like Karn restarting the game versus Amalia combo drawing the game on their bingo card for 2024 on the show that already only has 6 episodes on it, I would be very impressed.
It'd be very impressive if anyone actually pays attention to what we talk about.
Hey, you know what? Like, there's been quite a few viewers on like the last few episodes. Like, they've been crushing it. They've been doing a great job.
It's always happy to see people want to hear what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's usually just like we're like there's like a picture of it was like Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, and it was like Xbox and PlayStation fighting each other, and it was the Nintendo kid eating paste, and unfortunately, we are the Nintendo kid eating paste.
Yeah, that's a little more accurate than I care to admit to.
but
Oh,
but kind of like what we expected from Pioneer, there probably really wasn't going to be any changes. Kind of expected a little bit more like innovation, like tuning, and really from the at least from the combo side of things. Amalia is just like a normal creature toolbox deck. They just throw random junk in there and they see what flies.
yeah.
You know, uh, Lotus Field pretty much like the same. I think that some of the sideboard cards change, whatever, but you're not really seeing anything like, groundbreaking there.
No, I mean
Rakdos.
the biggest thing about Lotus Field I saw is they're off. They're no longer on like the Chandra combo. That's like the biggest thing. They're a lot of them have moved back towards Second Sunrise and things like that.
Oh yeah, which is the
Or
best win
for the Second
condition.
Sun.
The
Yeah,
best
for
win
the Second
condition. Thank
Sun.
you.
I mean, I'll agree with that only because I played that in Standard and I was very happy with myself.
Amen. It's and even like playing a little bit more like the Lotus Field deck and just kind of getting like a feel for it and everything. Just because I have basically played like every version of like Lotus Field that's existed in the format at this point, and it is actually a lot of fun, and the resiliency of the deck. Like I basically got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm done defending it. I'm just gonna trash it. As soon as I start trashing it, it puts 2 decks in the top 8 of the Pro Tour, and I'm like, okay, maybe this deck is starting to get good, and now it's falling off in usage.
Well, the problem is that all the Lotus Field players realized they still like having friends, so they had to get off the deck.
and they used all their luck in like just making the top 8 of like that event.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the biggest problem we're seeing is Rakdos aggro, Rakdos vampires, whatever site you're looking at is calling it. I think is still. I don't know if it's still too dominant because it is still just people on the high of it winning the Pro Tour, or if it maybe is just too good, too consistent.
I think after like 2 weekends worth of challenges, prelims, and everything like that, leagues and stuff, I think at this point like people should be expecting to play against it. So I would think that most decks have a game plan for it, and I think by now it's just kind of like, hey, we can't do anything about this. Like we're just kind of hoping to get a little lucky.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it might just be too consistent. I think I think once again Rakdos has proven itself to be too consistent and too good, like it was multiple times before, like it has been multiple times before. It's I still stand on my statement that it needs something hit out of it. Um, I still think Fable should be banned in the format, which I'm sure not many people are in agreement with me because it's a fair card. It doesn't break the format. No, it just makes you have to play red if you want to play any kind of mid range deck.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's not a reason not to play red. Like as we talked about with Rakdos Vampires before, the only red cards it's playing is Fable and the 2 mana Vampire.
Blood Tithe Harvester.
Yeah,
This list in
like anything.
particular, which is kind of funny, uh, it is playing no red cards in the sideboard, so it is literally just like 4 Blood Tithe, 4 Fable.
Oh yeah, like that's pretty much what the decks are become. Is they're just for Blood Tide, for Fable is the only reason to be red, and then they're all black. Or, colorless, like with Craft Digger's Cage and things like that, Dampening Sphere.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there is just not a reason to be like your red sideboard cards aren't good. It's like your red sideboard cards are usually things like removal spells that can't be countered, things like that. And if you're already playing, four Fatal Push, Heartless Acts, Bitter Triumph, any number of those cards, like you don't need more removal. Like you already have the best removal.
Oh yeah. The annoying thing too with this Vein Ripper card is the fact that you have to sacrifice a creature, and most of these decks like either just don't have answers that deal with Vein Ripper, or they don't typically have like creatures already in play to like sacrifice to pay the ward cost.
Yeah.
It's virtually hexproof on this card.
Well, that's why we're seeing blue white control fall off. Like blue white control is falling off not because it can't be like the blue white control Rakdos matchup was always, I think, 55-60 maybe on the Rakdos side or the blue white side depending on how the game went, who drew what, type deal. Because like the Rakdos deck, mid range deck was made to grind originally before we saw this vampire variant, and the blue white deck was made to grind because it's a control deck. And so obviously you have like that mix and match where like the Rakdos that can win because it has Thoughtseize and things like that and tears apart the hand early, but if it doesn't get that ball rolling fast enough, the blue light control deck will win. Well, now you just have a 6 mana creature that you're also playing that also has uncounterability thanks to, Cabinet of Souls, and says, oh, hey, when you board wipe, you're still taking a bunch of damage. So cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went, turn one, turn two, turn three spell, and then you board wipe me, and then you still took more damage from board wiping me.
I don't know, and then you have to contend with like the creature lands in the deck as well, with
Yeah,
six of them in total. It's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
wild.
yeah. Like it's this deck is great against the mid range deck. It's great against the. It's not great against combo deck like Lotus Field and stuff. But I mean, you get to play. They're playing 5 Thoughtseize essentially, one duress, 4 Thoughtseize, and they put a clock on, too.
Oh yeah.
So like,
I mean,
I
there's those worlds where Lotus Field just spins their tires for 4 or 5 turns, and sometimes that's just all you need. Or there is like a fail rate with like Lotus Field. It's just usually it feels like they can win the game on like turn 3 or turn 4 like every game, and they
yeah,
have that ability too.
exactly. Like that's the problem we're seeing. It's like once again, I think just we've made. I think my biggest problem with Pioneer right now is there's no reason to play like the color green in Pioneer. Like we're playing green in the Lotus Field deck for like because it has combo colors, right? Like we have the Sylvan Scrying and we have the new card. Crap. The triple green card.
Oh, yeah, Archer's Charm.
Yeah, Archer's Charm. Like that's and Arboreal Grazer helps them, go faster. And the Balda Recovery.
Oh yeah, the Bolligid Recovery.
Yeah. Like they're playing green, but not for why you play green. Like you're not playing green for creatures or anything like that. You're just it helps you find all your pieces.
Yeah.
And then like yes, we have Amalia, which is playing green, which is cool. We finally have like green, green creatures are seeing play. Oh my god, that's unheard of. But only because they have a combo kill. Like
yep.
Like Wild Growth Walker will never see. Like if Amalia gets banned today, Wild Growth Walker never sees the light of play again.
No. And it's playing like Chord Collected Company and everything because it finds all of its pieces that end up triggering and just starting the loop of like killing your opponent basically.
Yeah, it just I'm this is I think just my own personal pet peeve of Pioneer is that there's no reason to play any kind of mid range deck that isn't black red.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at like something like a mono green devotion, which is seeing like very sparing play. I mean, it's just typically like the, cheating things into play.
Yeah, like we in standard right now, there's basically one of the best mid range cards printed essentially in
Talking like second here. Mosswood Dread Knight.
Yeah, Mosswood Dread Knight. It's literally a card that can change like 2-for-1s. And that card is literally unplayable in Pioneer, not because of removal, not because of anything, but because it's green. And there's no reason to play green in a mid-range style deck.
And it's very slow in a format where like if you can't disrupt plus kill your opponent.
Yep. I don't know. We've created this weird format for Pioneer that I don't particularly enjoy, but will continue to play because I have to.
Yeah, we got RCQ season coming up soon.
Yeah.
Here in a few weeks. We got spoilers coming up too. We might see some cool cards that end up in the format past the ones that they spoiled for the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out. I need there to be something to put green and to be playable so I can play the new Oko.
What do you mean? Just play all the blue cards that are good. Problem
I mean,
solved.
I am trying to build Teamer. Or Rug, as it should be called.
Blue, red, splash, green for Oko.
yes, that's the game plan.
Oh man. Oh,
we're gonna waste a lot of ticks and a lot of play points pretending that deck's gonna be playable.
Oh yeah, all the content on just Oko. Is Oko Broko again part 2?
The answer is no.
Probably
the answer is no. I think he's playable though.
No, and we've talked about it before. Like he does look like he's pretty sweet. I just hope that there is some other things that we can hopefully introduce to the format. I'm looking forward to seeing if there's any cool like modern legal cards that were printed way back when, and seeing a printing in standard. And
yes,
by extension Pioneer, but just something that's like was powerful and modern that is definitely not good enough now.
Best Tarmogoyf, you cowards.
Give me Ad Nauseam.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to sit back down.
And I mean that's just a card that that's probably one of my favorite arts of all time. Is like a sidebar to this, like probably like a top 5 art of all time for me.
Fair enough. I can get behind that.
As someone who probably has like a more Mr. Rogers type front, if you go into my house, it definitely looks like Blood Crypt. That's what's going on up here. Just the macabre whatever that's supposed to mean. It's sunshine and rainbows, and I go to the school talent show and I just start screaming.
Hold down there, Kyle.
So
So we go ahead and talk about modern, aka Leyline of Draco,
yeah,
the
Leyline,
format.
Leyline Scion format.
Yeah.
I,
For anyone who doesn't know, if your deck is not playing Leyline of the Guildpact and Scion of Draco, are you really playing Magic?
you're arguably playing the unoptimal build of your deck more than likely.
Yes, it turns out that you should just be playing those 8 cards in every deck.
Randy,
It doesn't.
has there ever been a time that you can remember in like any format, maybe besides like Eldrazi Winter or whatever, where we've seen like just a 2 card combo like dominate, like just be played in like everything?
Um, Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure someone in our comments will go, actually, 5 years ago we saw this. I mean, you could argue like Splitter Twin was a big deck, or you could argue like the XYZ decks was big, but there was no like 2 cards that just were being put into every deck.
Yeah.
Not counting Gataxian Probe.
I mean, yeah, like we weren't playing like Splinter Twin combo and like just jamming it into like Jund because like, oh, Jund
We
is like
could,
proactive, so we can like thought seize all the threats and then play it,
yeah,
or like we're not playing Amulet and Titan in other decks just because like the synergy is so good and you could potentially kill your opponent. We're like this is just like literally everybody's just throwing this like these 2 cards into a deck and performing well with it.
yeah. I mean, what was basically someone made a what's the word I'm looking for? Made like a Murktide deck with it and took down like 3 different, like Mox little challenges.
My good God.
Like they were basically playing Murktide, Counterspell. Um, Basically they played the best of both decks. So like the 5 color domain and Murktide. Like they were playing Cyan Draco, Territorial Kavu. They were playing Leyline and Guildpact. They were playing Murktide. They were playing Bolt. Played Counterspell, um, EI, and I think playing Ragavan, and just like we're crushing it.
Just because like this, I think it started definitely started out as a meme at first. Like, okay, Rhinos picked it up. Like, oh hey, like this card gets released. Scion Draco pairs well with it. Funny. Like this is a good combo.
Yeah,
And then we come to find out that like it might just be like the best thing you can do in the format. So good that other decks are deciding that what, I am going to play this, and it doesn't matter if I can't even abuse any other part of this. Like this is just good enough on its own.
hmm
And I mean we've seen it in like 4 or 5 color aggro was like the deck that we thought was just going to immediately pick it up, and like that was kind of going to be it. Then all the Cascade decks seem to kind of gravitate towards it, and now you have Murktide variants that are apparently playing it, and all these other various aggro decks that are just like I'm throwing this in here to play it.
yeah, because it's just good. And well, like, so we still have pitch elementals too, and Leyline's just like, hey man, do you need a pitch card? I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all 5 colors.
Oh yeah, that can be cast off 4 green.
Yeah. Well, that I think we're finally showcasing the fact that Leyline binding might have been a problem child to print into a format that has fetch lands and tricolored lands.
Yeah, I think at least a time ago, I think it was partially a necessary like evil. I kind of like it even still as like an answer because there's not really a whole lot of tricks with it, right? Like you can't just like leyline binding your own thing to protect it and then like blow it up or have some way to blow it up and get your thing back. You're forced to like use it as like a removal spell
Mm-hmm.
essentially. But I mean, at this point, I think it might just be like bordering on too efficient, and with everybody including, this package in their deck of Leyline of the Guildpact plus Scion, it's just like a free auto include to your deck.
Mm-hmm. It's a free 1 mana remove non-land permanent,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just good. Like, it's just a good card at this point, and like I'm truly just waiting until we come full circle and Blue White Control is playing Leyline of the Guildpact and Scion. Like,
Echo
I'm just
Wing
waiting for
Condition.
that day. I'm waiting for that day to happen because I feel like we're that close to just like Blue
And
White Control's just like, what if we attacked? And we thought about that? What if we just attacked? What if we were the aggro?
what if instead of trying to win the game on turn 25, and I mean start winning the game on turn 25, we just ended the game on turn 5?
Yeah.
How about that? This is
But
also too where we have like Amulet Titan, which can like virtually search up Besejus on like a whim. Yawgmoth, can draw a decent amount of cards pretty early. They can find like Leyline or Beseju and like blow up Leylines and whatnot. Like there's decks that are playing Way's main deck and usually be able to search for those search for those answers to get rid of the combo and break it up. And still, it is so good that everybody is just playing this combo.
yeah, it is almost crazy when you look at it of like how popular this combo has become.
You
So we're
know,
just
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, it gets jammed in everything because why wouldn't you?
It jammed in everything. Just about every deck has answers to it, whether it's trying to just go like bigger than them if you're like Reanimator, or you actually just have answers for one or both parts of it, and it's still the best thing to do in the format.
Yeah,
If not, then number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
yeah, it's a little crazy. Like, this is the world we've kind of come full circle into.
Just imagine if Rhinos got to keep that, and they got to keep Violent Outburst and this combo.
Violent Outburst did nothing wrong.
The Secret Lair one didn't do anything wrong. It's the Shards one that did all the problems.
Yes, bring back my kitties, please.
That would be crazy. Like, let's just start banning the crazy like alt art versions of cards, and then you can't play the boring ones either. If I can't tell what the card is on coverage, then you shouldn't be allowed to play it.
Oh, well, then we're gonna have a lot of problems because Wizards wants to keep making 16 different copies of the same card.
That's true. There's been so many times where they've like had coverage pulled up, and like even the people doing coverage are like, I have no idea what this card is.
Yeah, it's gotten a little extreme. Although I think the one that takes the cake is the fact that like you can now Thoughtseize your opponent and not know what color they're on based off of their hand. Because you have to like actually read all the cards and go, oh, okay, you're like these colors.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can't like click glance and go, oh, okay, that's a black card, that's a red card, that's a blue card, that's a green card. Like, you're like,
What are you playing?
oh, okay, that's Esper. Gotcha.
The only thing that I know is that if I turn one Thoughtseize my opponent and they go turn 0 Leyline, I know that they are playing all 5 colors. That's all I know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
There's 3 more of these in there. There's a Scion, and then there's also a set of Leyline binding. That's all I know. I need to figure out if you're playing Ragavan, if you are somehow still playing Rhinos, or if you are just playing like a scam package. I need to know.
I could be playing Ragavan and a scam package along with Rhinos for some reason. What is that? Next generation. We'll just put this. Oh, we can't put this game package in. We can't cascade into not dead after all.
If we get creative, so we have to like plus Teferi, play Demonic Dread, like so we evoke our grief, and then we Demonic Dread our own grief, and then we hope to cascade into the not dead after all, or we get to make 2/4/4s.
We've done it, boys.
We broke
The
it.
six card combo will work. I promise.
We broke it. You're welcome.
But that being said,
or you could just pick 2 of the 3 and just play those, and your deck is busted. So
that being said, we are seeing a lot more innovation as a whole. I think with modern, I think that Footballs has been taken down a peg. I think it's still a very viable deck. No one's gonna laugh at you if you show up to a tournament with it. That being said, though, I think people are now innovating more into modern, which is what you want from a band. You want to see growth and change and things like that. So it's kind of nice to see that as a whole. Um, that being said, though, there's also nothing on the line for modern anytime soon. So I think we're going to see a lot more people just kind of throwing things at the wall in like the leagues, the primaries, the last chances, things like that. We're like, well, let's see if this sticks. Let's see if this works type deal because there's nothing like we don't have, it's not RCQ season for modern or anything like that. So I am curious to see when we get back to RCQ season, especially because Modern Horizons 3 will be out by that time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to the modern format moving forward.
I think even the Assassin's Creed the Assassin's Creed set might come out like around that time too, like maybe somewhere in the middle of the modern RCQ season as well. So I mean, we'll have to change it presumably from Modern Horizons before the season starts, and then possibly a change mid-season as well.
Yeah, I'm
What a time to be alive.
I'm not sure if there's going to be anything that pops out of that set at all. That's going to be interesting. I have no idea what Wizard plans to do or what kind of fighter design they decide to push to make something broken.
I'll listen to this. Okay, so like I was watching a Saffron Olive video, as you do, and I was doing dishes, and then it was about like like the worst to best win conditions of all time, like to win the game. Like it literally says you win the game on it, or maybe it's used. I don't know, one of the two. And it got to Ezio, and he's like Enzio, Auditor, De Francis, and I'm like, dude, we full on butchered that, and like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it was just kind of a funny thing where I hope that he plays with that card more because I want him to continue to pronounce it that way.
I've learned just not to pronounce cards when I don't know how to pronounce them. I'll just play them I'll just play them and look at my opponent and go, I'm gonna cast this. You can decide how to pronounce it.
Yeah, no, I know for a fact that it's Ezio. I'm just not going to have the dramatic like flair of a foreign country behind it. You are going to get the whitest rendition of Ezio if I ever play that card.
So we are the white people here. We don't add anything to this.
No, no flair. It's basically just like our chicken. No flair.
No flair.
Unseasoned.
Whoa, hang on. Don't lump me in with you people. I know how to add seasoning to my food. Thank you.
I do too, but it's just a lot more fun if I leave it ambiguous. Like, you don't know if this piece of chicken is gonna have like 5 different seasonings that I carefully crafted together, or I just threw it in the oven. You're lucky if I even like, patted it with a nice paper towel before I threw it in there. All right, fine. Enough of the cooking stuff.
Yeah.
There'll be a cooking stream later. Maybe.
I will not be here for that because I think I might just have an aneurysm watching you try to cook.
See,
based off this 5-minute conversation we've had so far.
I'm in there. You ever see the videos of people playing Overcooked 2 and they're just like spouses yelling at each other?
No, I have not.
Oh man, all right, I'll have to send you some. So like you'll see like people getting like super into it, and they're like, I put you on the salads, and like all you've been doing is chopping cucumbers. Like I really need you to start serving the salads because we're behind on our tickets or whatever. And they're like yelling at each other. So like that's me, but I'm yelling at myself.
Well, at least you yell at yourself, I guess.
Dakota, you were on salads. Like, oh yeah, well, I'm also running the pork chops too. What do you want from me? I'll quit right now.
Uh,
Yeah, there's, I think overall, with that unhinged rambling out of the way, I think we've learned a few things about these formats.
yeah, I think we've learned that Red Black Vampires is still probably too strong and too consistent for the format.
Black is probably the best color in Magic.
Yeah, I mean, black is definitely the best color in Pioneer, to say the least. It turns out giving them the best removal spells along with the best discard spell ever printed is probably pretty good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would say like Rakdos, honestly, to me has performed above my expectations. I figured it was probably going to be, it was going to take Rakdos mid range's spot, and whether it became number one or not didn't really mean anything to me. But the fact that it has such a high metagame usage, it's winning along with just consistently performing well. It's definitely going to be the deck to beat going into the Pioneer RCQ season.
Oh, for sure. Like I think the biggest problem is like it's not like how we saw with Scam, where Scam was like 20% of the meta, but like had a 43% win percentage. Like we have Rakdos mid Rakdos Vampires is 27% of the meta, and then still taking down like these primaries. Still, it's still putting 2, 3, 4 copies in this top eight, and like it's in the top of the top eight. It's not just like, oh, we lumped in with like one top eight finish and like nothing into the top 16. Like nope, it's like we're putting in multiple copies throughout the entire top 32s.
Mm-hmm. Simultaneously just fixing Rakdos's problem of like not seemingly being able to close out the game fast enough, and finding the right ways to get card advantage instead of just having like this card selection that it kind of morphed into once we had Smuggler's Copter unbanned.
Yeah,
So I mean, Pioneer. Uh, I mean, I guess technically it is a pretty diverse format. I think there is probably like 5 or 6 decks you could play and expect to perform reasonably well with. Just there is one that is just head and shoulders better than the and seemingly more consistent than the rest of the format.
yeah. I will say that I think if you're going to start prepping for your RCQs, you're going to start building a deck for the RCQs. You're going to do in short, whatever you're doing for the RCQs, like you need to be looking at playing either Rakdos Vampires or Arc-like Phoenix is probably one of the two best decks to play. Obviously, I mean, like they're 27 and 15% of the meta currently, so you're gonna have to at least know how to play against them. Your deck needs to have a game plan against it.
And
And
yeah, go ahead.
okay, I was like, these are like the top two decks, and then Amalia's another 12% of the meta. It's like this is what you're going to see at your RCQ. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure someone's going to go to their RCQ and it's going to be 32 people. Somehow nobody's playing Phoenix, Vampires, or Amalia combo, and you're going to look really dumb and like, yeah, I have a game plan against these three decks, or the best decks in the format, and you're going to sit down against like Rakdos Sacrifice, into Auras, into Boros Aggro, into Blue White Control, and go cool. I was not prepared for like these decks at all. But like realistically, these are the top three decks you're going to run into, and I would be insanely surprised that you don't run into them at all. If you don't run into them at all,
You play one out of the three in like a 6 round tournament, even like it's probably going to happen.
yeah, like they are currently the best decks to beat. If you are wanting to brew or come up with something or do something with the format, you need to have a game plan for these three decks.
And I guess not even really like having a game plan for it, but like a thing that really helps too is that their mana bases are distinctly different as well. So I mean, it's not going to be really a secret. Like once your opponent kind of plays their first land, like you're going to be able to kind of have the jump on them and kind of figure out what they're doing. Unless you're doing the same thing, then they'll be able to figure it out. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, like you need to recognize these decks and recognize how what your role is in that matchup, whether you are a control deck or the aggro in that matchup, and what you need to do. But have a game plan for it. You're going to want to pack Graveyard Hate for the Phoenix deck. You're going to want to pack good cards against Rakdos Vampires because it doesn't really have anything it loses to. And then you're going to want to be able to stop the Amalia combo.
Oh yeah, and good luck trying to figure it out because it's seemingly nobody else has figured it out. They just hope that they spin their tires and die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is where you necessarily want the Pioneer format to really where you want it to be. But that's probably what we're stuck with for the foreseeable future, at least probably like a month and a half, until we kind of get Thunder Junction and see what comes out of that set.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see what comes out of that set, and then see if they want to touch anything in Pioneer. I still think that their no bans in Pioneer was a mistake, but we'll see. I could be wrong. Maybe Rakdos Vampires isn't nearly as good as it looks, but it looks really strong and it looks really playable.
Yeah, can't deny the results. Like just by winning, you can't deny winning.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Well, the deck's not good. Like, well, it keeps winning, so either people were really bad at playing Pioneer or the deck's good.
I'm gonna go with the secret option C of tougher than a $2 stake.
Yeah, I mean, it plays removal, discard, and good creatures.
In other words, it's literally going to drag you in the mud and force it to fight with it.
Yeah,
And even if you do win, I mean, you're still covered in mud. Like,
yeah, like it doesn't feel good.
yeah,
Like it doesn't like you're not just winning against it on turn two or anything like that. Like there's no like just oh if you play this in your sideboard, vampires fold. It's like oh well like sure you attacked their sword and you played Pithingo on turn one. Well, it turns out they just had a bunch of good. They just went turn one Thoughtseize, turn two 3/2, turn three 2/4, turn four two more creatures.
oh
Good
yeah,
luck. They
yeah,
curved out and beat you.
yeah.
I'm glad you stopped Soren.
We don't need to rip any veins out. We can literally put them to the schism.
Yeah, I mean, in worst case scenario, they can literally just cast Vein Ripper. It's still a good 6 mana card.
Oh yeah,
Like it's just, it is what it is. It's a good deck. I don't. The problem is it's not inherently broken. It's just very consistent, very good, and there's not anything better to do than it or comparable to it in the mid range plan.
yeah. Rakdos continuing just be a tough deck. Just always be finding ways to be relevant in the metagame. And
Mm-hmm.
it took a little bit of a transformation and got a nice little facelift and everything, but it's back on top of the metagame again.
Yeah,
Modern, I don't know, like literally put a dartboard with like 15 different decks on it and blindfold yourself. Like chances are, even if you miss the board completely, you'll still land on a deck.
yeah, basically. I mean, which is good. I think that's where Modern wants to be. It wants to be this kind of wide open format. So I do think, like I said, Modern's going to be kind of the Wild West for the next couple months until we get new sets coming in and kind of solidifying what's going to be broken. What Wizard has designed to be the best deck in the format.
Exactly. Crazy enough, though, even looking at kind of like the metagame and everything, it is a lot more diverse than I kind of gave it credit for before. Like I said, there's like 6 decks here that are like within 100 decks of each other in terms of like placements and things like that. So, I mean, when we were literally looking at like the number one, number two deck having like 180 decks worth of placements between them,
Yeah,
I think we're in a pretty good spot to get something even close to that. You have to go from like 4 color Omnath to Domain Zoo to get that, and that's 7 decks.
yeah. So I mean, we definitely the band definitely helped. It definitely if anything, it took people off of Cascade, which is I think what needed to happen. I think Cascade's still a good deck, and by that I mean Rhinos. I think Rhinos is still a good deck. I think it's still able to play. I think you can still play it in a tournament without, you're not going to embarrass yourself because you decided to put Crashing Footfalls into your deck. Like, you still can take down a tournament with it. But I think it drove people away from the deck enough to where now it's not just like this consistency thing. Because I still think Rhinos is a good deck.
Hmm.
But it's nice to see people trying other things, doing other things. But like I said, I think it's just going to kind of be the Wild West until we have like real stakes in that format again.
Yeah, and I guess thankfully we have a little bit of time before it becomes a format that is relevant to the I guess RCQ competitors and things like that. I mean, for modern stuff, you're still going to be able to get like QPs and stuff like that from challenges and leagues and whatever playing the format. So if you enjoy it now, I mean, get on Magic Online and play it. But for like the paper players, you're not really going to have to worry about it until about 3-4 months from now.
Yeah.
So overall, format's probably fine right now. Maybe there needs to be more changes. Leyline could probably could probably go if people are literally just jamming this card into every single deck.
Yeah, I do think that might end up being something that gets talked about or noticed moving forward. Like, hey, this is like homogenizing the format. Like every deck is kind of playing these 8 cards. Maybe we should do something about it.
Yeah, so we're gonna ban triomes. I don't know.
Spit.
That's just what hit the dartboard. I don't make the rules. Really, like I had made the suggestion earlier, but it landed in the trash. But Mark Rosewater has such a weak arm, and I had to throw it from too far that he landed in the trash can. So we went with it.
But no, I think we're seeing some things shaking up in modern, changing for the better. Pioneer, I think, is a little more precarious, especially going into the RCQ season. So I'm a little more worried about that and the Rakdos Vampires deck just kind of being more the format than it needs to be. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what happens. We'll see what shakes up. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone has secretly broken the format and is purposely, going 4-1 in the leagues and things like that, so no one knows about their deck until they spike an RCQ.
Could potentially happen. I'm not willing to throw away those treasure chests for it, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm too poor for that.
I'll give you my full 75. I don't care. Like, you're still probably gonna beat me anyway. But yeah, I think. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Randy?
Not at this time. I'm interested to come back next week. We'll have more spoilers, more things to talk about, more results for Pioneer, I'm sure. So it'll be interesting to see how the metagame keeps shaking up in Pioneer and what we're going to be getting from that Thunder Junction. See if anything's going to shake up Pioneer or Modern, maybe.
Yeah, probably a good thing. We can probably give some of our predictions and things like that on what could be some role players or some potential metagame sleepers in the format for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then see how wrong we are like 2 months later.
It's fine. It's fine.
But all right. Well, I mean, pretty short episode this week. There really wasn't a whole lot that went on in the world of Magic and everything. Like the formats are still kind of, for the most part, I think they've probably found their homes. But there's still that little bit of room for people to kind of innovate and take over from there. So it's a slow week.
Yeah. We're in that waiting room before a new set, basically.
Yeah. And unfortunately, even though like they release sets so close and they end up releasing spoilers, I feel like they're so close together. I kind of wish that we had some. I'm getting the itch. Getting the itch. Hey, y'all got any of them spoilers?
But I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week.
I think you're exactly right, Randy. So this is going to conclude this short episode of the Casual Spikes podcast. If you're made it this far, be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell so you know when videos get posted. Check out Randy's channel. His channel is going to be in the description down below, as well as I'm going to annotate it in the video as well, like I did last time. So if you want to support either of us, subscribe here, click the annotation, all that stuff, all the pop-ups to go support Randy as well. And give any feedback, any and all, ask questions, anything like that. We would be happy to answer them on the show to kind of, help on like weeks like this where we just don't really have a whole lot going on in either of the meta games.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There is no stupid questions, only stupid answers.
Yeah. Only the unhinged BS you're going to end up getting from me.
Oh, yeah.
Life is like Cascade. You don't know what you're going to get. See, it's funny because you know exactly what you're going to get because it's a busted fucking mechanic.
I mean, it's great. That's why we made Explorer to make it better.
Oh, stop. All right. That's going to do it for us in the video. Hope you all enjoyed. Again, subscribe to both channels, support us and everything as we kind of creep closer and closer to, something. That train really got lost. It had to go like 2 miles and it made a wrong turn. You're on a track. Where are you going? But yeah, that's gonna be the end for episode 6. Hope you all enjoyed, and be sure to stay tuned for next week where we kind of go over some of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction spoilers, and potentially any other cool decks that might actually show up in Modern Pioneers weekend. Kind of just see what happens with the format while we wait for a new set to be released. So, yeah. See y'all later. Get the heck out of here.